Okay.
All right. Did you hear that? Recording in progress.
Well, welcome.
Well, welcome again, everybody. David, Ann Mahoney, welcome our guest tonight, Chip Littlejohn, with the topic of bringing some skills into the work that we do. I want to begin with a little story. I was remembering today, back in 1972 or 73, in that time frame, Ann and I were living in Germany, and I decided to take a woodworking class. And I didn't know anything about woodworking or the tools that are used. But I signed up for the class, and I got with the master carpenter, and I knew what I didn't know, which was just about everything. I followed the master's guidelines. I learned the different tools. I learned the materials that have to be used. And I sought questions and answers of the master. And lo and behold, within a few weeks, I had enough mastery to complete a table. And I made it, I think it was a really beautiful table.
It was.
It was a gift to Ann.
Yeah.
She loved it. So in a similar fashion, I look at what we're doing with Navan as seeking the master. And tonight, our master is someone who's familiar to a lot of you, and I hope all of you, Chip Littlejohn. And Chip, from the beginning, we've had a shared relationship where, you know, I've looked up to you for answers on things, but I remember one of the first questions I asked you is, how do I get familiar with the terminology of all of this with Navan? I want to be able to do a better job with three-way phone calls. I want to be like you, Chip. I want to be the master of this knowledge. And you gave me a really simple answer. You just said, first of all, look for overarching themes and just stay with the material and it'll come to you. And little by little, you get more and more fluent. And that's what's happened. So nothing like gratitude to start a call like this. Thanks, Chip, for that bit of guidance.
I would just relay that yesterday we did a call and we were in reversed positions. I was interviewing Dave, and I marveled at his mastery and called him afterwards to compliment, you know, how neat of ideas he brought into the call. And I would just say, before the recording started, this call started to take on a life of its own because all of you are masters and began telling your stories right away. And that's really what the whole thing's made of. And so we have a couple of things we want to get done, but never lose that ability to just start with whatever just happened. I think a little bit of aspects of the news or a magazine or something that just happened to you that's of interest, or something from your life, like Dave just told about building the table. And so I think that concept of transitions from any idea or anything that has happened, and then how that can turn into something of importance that has to do with what we're doing here.
I think that you'd agree, Chip, that what we build on is a conversation with people. And often that conversation, although it's full of information, the conversation is more important than the informational facts alone. That in the exchange of information, we're honoring that person who has a really important question to them. They might think it's silly, they might think it's a small question, but when we honor them and edify the leader who's going to answer their question, we're serving both directions. So we're going to practice a little bit of that three-way call wisdom later on in the call. Yeah, but my intention is to introduce you to some other assets. You would probably agree that your uplines are assets. And all of you have already demonstrated leadership. You've shared Navan with other people, and whether you realize it or not, you are an asset to somebody else already. And in that role, people will turn to you for guidance and for promotion and for assistance because they need you. And so what we want to do tonight is strengthen your abilities to do that by introducing you to a few assets that we use that are pretty helpful. Have you ever had a moment where you thought, oh, I want to send something to somebody, but I don't know what to send them? I know there's a couple of people in this call right now that I'm thinking of who have called and said, could you please send me an email attachment that I could forward to somebody? And sometimes it was in desperation because the member was in the car driving. And of course, you can't do that when you're in the car. But how helpful that's been to be able to have a tool or an asset, a little bit of leverage, if you will, to lift the conversation a little bit higher. I'm going to hold up a couple of things to the screen. And I know right now everything is in reverse order. you're going to see things backwards. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go into the video settings and change something to make the image straight away and not like a mirror. So I think some of you may have seen something like this. This is a daily detox handout with some text above it. And that's just the way a person receives it when you send that to them from the Navan Life app. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. This is the Navan Life app coming up.
Does everybody know what the Navan Life app is? Is everybody familiar with that?
Got a lot of still pictures here. so we
Anybody
don't
not
know.
familiar with it?
Well, available to everybody that has a smartphone. I'm going to hold this up close. Is the Navan Life app. It's the one with the Navan symbol. I'm going to press on that. And it opens it up to a collection of favorites of things that you can send to other people. And you can even go down below to tools. And select various videos to watch, posters to send to people, etc. It's too small to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to visit that live right now. I'm going to share my screen with the items that have been prepared. And I think that you're all familiar with, I want that one. I want, where are we? Where'd I go? I gotta get back on this screen here. Here we go. Okay. So you're seeing my screen. By the way, I have made a list of some of my favorite items so that when I need them, they're at my fingertips and I can grab one of these, cut it and paste it, stick it into an email as an attachment. But I've got a few of these already off to the side. So the first thing we may want to watch.
I am a distributor with Navan Global, and our main product is a product called Daily Detox Plus. This product was developed by a biochemist who I've had the fortune to know for onwards about 24 years. He's a great guy, incredibly intelligent. And he's the guy who actually designed this product, put it together, builds it for us. So we're going to ask him to take a look and tell us a little bit about it. So Rick, I'm going to give it to you.
Thanks, Neil. I've been asked to try to make this as quick as possible and try to fit what amounts to hours and hours and hours of science into just a few minutes. So I'm going to start with the fact that all of us are toxic. There's not a doubt in the mind of any American that we live in a toxic world. Everything we eat, everything we drink, everything we breathe has some sort of environmental toxicity to it that builds up in our bodies over time. This is what we call our body burden. And many times we talk about the concept of detoxification, but most of those products for detoxification are simply either some form of diuretic or laxative that helps you go to the bathroom or sweat, some way to get things out of your body to detoxify. I knew that we needed something more specific, a specific systemic detoxifying agent. And that's what led me to work with zeolites in the 1990s. Zeolites are amazing. They're formed of volcanic eruptions. That's a crystalline structure. It's a crystalline structure. It's a mineral, natural mineral. And it has a cage-like structure. It's called a zeolite because when the first guy discovered this, the Greek named it zeolite because you heat it up and water came out, boil. So zeolite means boiling rock. And you realize that it's a cage-like structure with a lot of space inside, so it holds all sorts of things, including water. It's also negatively charged, one of the few negatively charged minerals found in nature. But because of this cage-like structure and negative charge, zeolites have the ability to draw to themselves, trap within themselves, a variety of different things, positively charged compounds. The zeolite we use is called clinoptilolite, and we use that because it's this amazing natural product that because of the pores, the size of the holes in the zeolite cage, and the charge distribution, it likes small, highly charged metals. And it just so happens that all the things that are bad for us, like mercury and lead and cadmium and arsenic and tin and bismuth and aluminum and antimony, tend to be small with a high charge. And all things that are good for us, like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, sodium, things like that, tend to be larger with a lower charge. And so the zeolite is really, really good at pulling out the bad stuff and not pulling out the good stuff. So it's a really great detoxifier. Now, clinoptilolite has been used for over 800 years in traditional medicine. It's used in animal feed, it's used in fertilizers and soil amendments. But when I started looking into it in the 1990s, late 90s, I realized there were problems with the zeolite supplement. The two major issues are the zeolite that's found in nature and mined is too big. The particles are so large that it can't get out of the digestive tract into the bloodstream. So you need to safely micronize it. You need to make them smaller cages so they can be absorbed in the bloodstream. And over years of research, we came up with a way to safely break down the zeolite into smaller cages. They're still completely active. And we do that with high speed and pressure and centrifugation. And it's a proprietary method we use to break down the zeolite to be sub-microns. Our average particle size is smaller than 1 micron, and it goes all the way down to about 457 nanometers or 0.457 microns. And so that's small enough that when you ingest it, it gets out of the blood, out of the digestive tract into the bloodstream, and it's a systemic detoxifier. The other problem with natural zeolites, the natural clinoptilite, is it's dirty. When it sits in the mine site and air blows over and water flows through, it sucks up all those toxins from the atmosphere, from the water. And so every other zeolite product that's out there that doesn't do some sort of activation process has all those toxins in it. Now, I'm not saying that's dangerous because zeolite is so good at holding on to those toxins, but if it's already full, how much can it take out of your body? How much toxins can it remove? And so we have a proprietary activation process that completely cleans out the zeolite cage. And so it maximizes the surface area, and it's thousands of times more effective through cationic exchange than any other zeolite, and certainly from zeolites just found in nature. And that led us to the production of what is now Daily Detox Plus. And what you have here is a micronized zeolite that's completely cleaned out and active and has the ability to draw out toxic heavy metals, volatile organic compounds. And what does that do? Well, a cleaner, healthier body fixes itself. Toxins, especially heavy metals, inhibit natural enzymes, natural functions in the body, metabolic functions. And when you get these heavy metals out of your body, everything starts to work better. And I've given specific illustrations, things like zinc finger proteins and ATP production that you can see in my larger master classes. But the fact is, you get this junk out of your body and everything starts to work better. Also, volatile organic compounds like benzene and toluene and phthalates and furans are all removed by the zeolite and just starts making everything healthier. So the major claims of the product are taking toxins and heavy metals out of your body, stabilizing a healthy immune system, and elevating pH. It becomes an alkalizing agent. A healthier pH also puts you in a state where your body, you're in an antiviral state, antibacterial state, and even in an anti-cancer state when you have a healthy alkaline pH of around 7.4. So since I originally launched my first zeolite product in 2004, I did all the research. I literally wrote the book on the subject. We've done 14 clinical studies on the product and on our specific technology. And yet it's launched a lot of Me Too knockoff products. You'll find that almost every one of those products utilize my research, utilize my marketing materials to try to sell their inferior products. But understand that the science is complicated. The science of zeolites, and especially the micronization activation process, is labor intensive. So most other companies don't want to go through that process, not what we actually do. So if you want the real zeolite, the one that sold millions and millions and millions of bottles since 2005, there's certainly the foundation for hundreds of thousands of positive testimonials. This is it. The Daily Detox Plus that's available from Navan Global. And I say this all the time. This is a product that everybody needs. When they find out about it, everybody wants it, and this is the only place to get it. Thank you.
So I invite you to open up your microphone and let's have a little dialogue about this.
If you want to know why you're so tired so often, look
Uh-oh.
at this banana. It's fresh.
Something's still playing in my background here. All right. Let's put that away till later. Let me do a sound check. Can you hear me okay, Chip?
Yep, loud and clear.
So I was inviting the members of the call to unmute and let's have a little interaction about what we just observed. For some, it may be the 100th time you've seen it, and maybe for some, it's the second time you've seen it. What happens when you watch that video, Patsy?
I always get re-excited
Okay.
knowing that there's something like that available. I get re-excited. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah,
does. It
absolutely.
does. So if you were watching that for the first time, I'd be inclined to say, Patsy, share your thoughts with me. What did you think after watching that video?
Like, wow, this looks like it might be the link that that's missing in good health.
Okay.
The quest for good health.
So it's the start of a conversation then,
Yes.
watching that video and then inquiring what you thought. Ann and I are going to role play something with Chip. There's a model that we use just to keep straight on this. It's an ABC model. And then this classic model of practice. The A is the person that's the authority. And the C is the prospective customer, if you will. C, okay. And the B is the person that brings the two people together. So in this case, I'm going to ask Chip to play the role of the A, the authority, the expert. I'm going to play the role of bringing somebody into this conversation. And the person I'm going to bring is Ann. And what I want to point out is that we're going to role play something true, but with an adjustment of time, okay? So Ann's had the benefit of Navan's products. And so the issue she's going to talk about is historical. It was something that was there before. So I'm asking her to have this three-way phone call. But here's how I'll do this. I'm going to assume Ann just watched the video, and I'll say something like this. Ann, tell me your thoughts. You watched the video. What did you think?
I actually thought it was quite interesting. I'm amazed that it could take things out of the system, out of the
Mhm.
body, toxins. And I know we all have toxins because I know I've had a lot of allergic reactions to toxins, and I know they're toxins. But then there's some other issues that I have that I've had headaches since I've been 11 years old.
Mhm.
I've had chronic headaches almost every day, every other
Oh,
day.
wow.
I never know what kind of headache I'm going to get. Some of them are toxic headaches, but some of them are other kinds of headaches, sinus headaches and things like that. And, does it work on something like that?
I think that's a really important question. I want to get you the best answer possible.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I'm going to connect you with an expert that I happen to know, and he's available right now. So I do the magic of the three-way phone call, and I bring Chip on the line. And Chip usually answers his call in the same kind of way.
Hi, this is Chip.
Hi, Chip. It's Dave. Hope you have a moment because I have somebody really special on the line with an important question. Chip, this is
Sure, what are we
Ann.
working on today?
Yeah, Ann, this is Chip.
Hi, Chip. Well, I just
Yeah.
through watching the video that Rick Deitch had, and I was impressed, and I thought, okay, I'm familiar with toxins, and I'm familiar with the fact that we need to get rid of them, and I never knew how you could get rid of them, but I know I've been exposed to a lot of them. But I've had other issues too, like I've had chronic headaches since I was 11 years old, and is this something that would take care of that as far as headaches?
Well, that's a great question, and my answer is always yes. So
Okay.
the two questions that I get are, will it help this or help that? And the answer is always yes, because everything about you is going to begin improving immediately. And the other question that I get is, will it remove this or remove that? And once again, the answer is always yes, because it will either remove it directly by picking it up, carrying it out. I always tell people that the very next time they pee after they take the product the first time, they'll be passing poison. They just swallow the little cleaning tool. When that happens, that takes the pressure off of all the other aspects of you being alive, because that is an unnecessary burden. I recently heard a very well-spoken woman say that this product is the missing link in good health. And I
Okay.
totally agree with that. That's exactly the terminology. What perfect terminology she used.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear because like I said, I've suffered with headaches now. Do I have to keep taking it constantly? I mean, or does it get rid of the headaches and then I can stop taking it?
Okay, so we kind of go back to the very beginning, and that was the first time you take it, the very next time you pee, you're passing these poisons. So the benefits begin immediately, and then they continue indefinitely as long as you keep going. And one of the other things that people ask me sometimes is, should I tell my doctor that I'm doing this? And I always tell them, yes, you should, for the same reason that you tell your dentist that you've been brushing your teeth. Don't they look wonderful? Aren't I being a good patient? I want to be the best patient you ever had. And so essentially what we've just introduced to you is a form of hygiene that no one heard about before. And so let's say that you had, for the first time, a chance to sweep your floors, and instead of dirt, there was something under it, even a wooden floor. Or you had clean water, running water, hot and cold running water, and then a toothbrush. Those are all forms of hygiene, and they're super important to our overall health. And certainly one of the things that I would expect is that your comfort in your head and your reactivity to things would be much better. Then the other thing that people often ask is, when should I quit? And I just have thought about that a lot. And you should quit on the same day that you quit brushing your teeth and taking showers, for the same reason.
Okay. All right. Well, I
So
appreciate that.
you're started. You got the big ideas.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for asking.
I'll start taking it and I'll let you know how I do.
I'm
And for
sure
those
it's
of you
going to
on
be
the call,
wonderful.
Well, those of you who are on the call for follow-up, I did start taking it for that very reason. And within a week or less than a week, my headaches disappeared and they are gone. I'm amazed, absolutely amazed. When I feel toxins coming, I just know, go grab some more detox. I'm not taking enough of it and it just goes away. So
some members at this point have told me that they're really good. They feel really good about having the first conversation, sending the 7-minute video to somebody, connecting them on a 3-way phone call, but then they lock up, they freeze, okay? So let's melt this frozen moments this way. So remember, it was ABC, Chip was the expert. We could bring another expert on to help close, but watch how simple it is to close the conversation. So, Anne, what did you think of that call? Was that helpful?
Oh, that was very helpful. Yes. And I'm definitely interested in this product.
All right, well then I'd like to help you get started with this right away.
Okay. Sounds good.
So
How do we do that?
good, now we got the conversation started. Well, from what you were saying, I think that the focus needs to be on the detox, but I want to show you a variety of different products that Navan has so that you can appreciate everything that's there. And then we'll talk about how to put this starting point together, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So let's pause and let's interact again as a group. How was that 3-way phone call in terms of function and ability? Like, how workable was that? And I don't want to rely on only Patsy, so maybe somebody else could unmute and interact with us. How was that transition into and out of the 3-way phone call? Was that sensible? Was that easy? Was that duplicatable? Anybody?
Sure was. Yeah, it was very, very good. And, not everything's going to go that smooth most of the time, but it was well, I don't want to say orchestrated, and all the right, Anne's questions were answered in the right configuration, I guess I should try to say. Right.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
So remember at the beginning of the call, I was using the metaphor of a real life experience when I took fine carpentry class. And the master told me some things, including measuring and being precise and being planned. So that 3-way phone call represented a planned approach. It was uncomplicated. It got to the point. And I think that the best 3-way phone calls are like that. It's clear so that the Chip in this case, he's not confused about what we're talking about. It's right there. And then he responds to it right there. And at the end of it, the prospect or the customer, the future member, however we're going to see this, is going to do one of a couple of things. They're going to say, I didn't like that at all, or I did like that, or I'd like to wait. Have you heard people say, oh, that sounds good, I'd like to wait? Don't you wish you had something to help people get over that, right? Over that moment of waiting? Well, sometimes people rush into saying something like, well, let me give you some products for free. You can try these products, and then we'll see what you think later. And that's okay, that works. But something that's a little more powerful is engaging the person in an actual completion of something that's best for him or her. And in this case, it's a matter of belief. I happen to believe what's best for Ann is knowledge of all the products so that she can choose not just the detox, but more of what's in her liking. I've had experience with this where a couple of people started out in a conversation about a detox bottle, and before the conversation was over, they said, I want all of the products. I had a customer who followed the media that I'm going to show you here in a minute and self-selected, signed herself up as a customer and ordered $500 worth of products, a variety of everything that Navan has. Okay. So we're opening a full basket for people, full service. And I don't think we need to be afraid of that. We need to be skilled. Afraid. Okay, that goes back to my metaphor of cutting the wood. I remember the time I had to put my hands on the piece of wood with the circular saw, the table saw, going, oh, I don't know, 1,000 repetitions a minute. And I had to trust my caution in my process because I wanted to protect my fingers. And I think that sometimes we approach this business like we're going to lose our fingers or something, all right? And all we got to do is know where our fingers are and know where the cutting edge is. So I'm going to go back to the screen sharing. I'm going to talk about something that comes in handy. Let's supposing that Ann said, well, that was all really good. I think I want to explore this a little bit more. And I'll say this to Ann. I'll say, Ann, do you have just a few more minutes? I'm going to send something over to you right now. This is a short 4.5-minute video on Navan's core products. Let's watch this together, and then we'll talk about putting an order together.
Okay.
At Navan, we believe in order for you to receive all the good that life has to offer you, you need a clean slate and a really strong foundation of health. The problem is we're living in a world and facing daily invisible enemies that put our health at a disadvantage. That's why we've put together a world-class product line designed not only to get rid of the bad things trapped in our bodies that we're exposed to daily, but also to replenish and protect our bodies so that we can live our lives to the maximum potential. Our core products have 3 main categories: cleanse, restore, and protect. Now, cleanse starts out with our daily detox. It represents a revolution in detox technology. This is the first time we've ever been able to make clinoptilolite, one of the world's most powerful natural detoxifiers mined from volcanic rock, micronized, which is just a fancy word for something that's broken into tiny pieces, and activated, therefore more bioavailable, which is better absorbed by our body. Our daily detox is not limited only to interacting with your GI tract like other detox products. Our clinoptilolite fragments are the perfect weight and size to be able to move into the cells and even bypass the blood-brain barrier. Think of your blood-brain barrier like armor for your brain. It protects the bad things from getting inside. But we're exposed to heavy metals every day that creep in and wreak havoc on our bodies. But since our detox can bypass the blood-brain barrier, it's able to act as a magnet to grab these things not meant to be there and allow your body to make way for the good. Even better, like the name suggests, it's for daily use because it doesn't build up in your body, which allows you to fight those battles each day without the harsh detox side effects like other products that strip your body of really important minerals. Now, speaking of minerals, Restore is the sister product to Daily Detox. Minerals affect everything in your body, from how strong and resilient your hair, skin, and nails are, to how well your nervous, immune, and reproductive systems function. A mineral imbalance or deficiency can lead to very serious health complications. But Restore was designed to replenish major and trace minerals that your body actually needs. The problem is minerals are not readily available in our foods as they once were because our soils are nowhere near what they used to be. That's why we harvest ours from rich beds of ionic minerals from phytoplankton deep within the ocean. Pretty special and rather exclusive from other mineral supplements on the market today. The final category to our 3-part system is Protect. We chose to protect our bodies with products with a transparent and potent CBD line. There are endless benefits to CBD, from sleep, anxiety, and pain to overall well-being and the strength of your immune system. Now, while we aren't here to reinvent the CBD world, we do recognize the need to provide a clean and transparent CBD line where you can trust the products that you put into your body. Transparency is top priority here at Navan, so we will not fall short with something as important as verifying the efficacy of what you put in your one and only body with our products. That's why we provide their certificate of analysis right on our public website for every single one of our products. Never heard of a certificate of analysis before? That's probably because it's hard to find products and companies willing to show you their hand. Ours are all verified with third-party testing with results available in plain sight. And even though everything we have here is backed scientifically, we are 100% natural, sourced from the United States, organic, and simple to use, so you aren't disrupting your entire daily routine, learning new habits with hard to stick to plans and trends. Overall, we have developed a product line that you'll be amazed by, leaving you feeling and functioning better than ever before, and one that's safe and beneficial for the entire family.
Well, let me open the microphones again and see what kind of a reaction we have to a video like that. Meanwhile, I'll ask Anne.
Well, if I saw a video like that, I would know exactly which products I would want to try. I would say I would like to try the detox. I would like the minerals, the restore. And then I saw a dream product on that. I would ask, does that help with sleeping better? And
you know, it's not uncommon to say, you have so many great questions. I know we just did a call with Chip about that, but I was recently talking to somebody who's had some profound benefits from the dream product. You got a couple more minutes to talk to another opinion? So then we could bridge into another three-way phone call with somebody who has experiences that would match that question. As simple as that. And on and on and on. And I know that some of you have been on the call with me where we've done more than one three-way phone call. We've chained them together. And I ask you to be patient, because I remember one call that took an hour and a half. It was a series of 3 different three-way phone calls. But at the end of that, it ended up with a very happy member placing a very large order and getting started building a business. But it took that many connections to answer the questions. I'm playing the videos on this call because a term we used earlier in the call was assets. An A, or an authority, or an expert like Chip, is an asset, but so is your upline. And so are some other people who, well, Yvette's on this call. I brought Yvette onto a call last week to be an A, to be an authority for me on a call. And at the end of the call, my prospect, who later became a member, said, that woman was brilliant. So already, I think that we're all ready to be brilliant A's, right?
well, if it's your testimony, if it's your story, then I think that you have every right to be an A, because you believed it, you trusted it, you used it, and you saw the benefits of it. And I think that when someone has seen the benefits themselves of it, like if somebody called me and said, I'd like you to talk about the dream, I could definitely tell you the benefits I got from the dream. And, you know, and you're an expert if you've used the products and you saw it work. That's it. If you saw that product work on you and you knew what it did for you, then wouldn't you say you're an expert? Just nod your heads. Wouldn't you say you're an expert? Yes, you are. Absolutely.
Well, let's make a transition into another wonderful zone or area, okay? And I'm going back to the metaphor of the woodworker, right? And we got through the part of cutting the boards, and we needed to get to the part of fitting the boards together. And I listened and I learned while the master talked about how to use the glue and how to use the clamps and how to hold things steady until there was a bind or a bond that was made. So I'm thinking about that as related to the business part of our conversations. It's okay when the conversation evolves to a person saying, how can you make money on this? So I'm going to role play switch here. I'm going to be the C at this point,
Okay.
and I'm going to pretend that Anne has shown me a video or two. And I know she's talked to me about the cleanse, restore, and protect concept of the products. And I'm getting pretty excited about this because it all makes sense. It's pretty powerful. It's profound. It's got support. She's connected to experts like Chip. And it raises this question of, wow, do I want to be more than just a customer? Because I'm already looking at the wholesale advantage of this. Anne has provided that for me. We could cover that in another training, okay? But for right now, let's assume that she's shown me the products and allowed me to begin to make choices. And I got pretty curious about this. And okay, I might want to enroll for the wholesale advantage. But here comes the question of the hour. And this is all pretty exciting, but can you really make money at this? I mean, I hear about people, getting into these kind of endeavors and really not making money at all. So I'm curious about that. I'm not saying I'm in, I'm just saying I'm curious about how do you make money at something like this? Or do you?
Well, you can make money on this. And I'd like to, hang on one second. Let me just get a friend on the line. Hey, Chip.
I'm
Hi,
here.
Chip, it's Ann. Chip,
Yes.
I've got a really good friend. We've been through the process of, I've shown him the video on the detox. We've seen the products. He's seen all the products. And now he's asking the question, can he make money doing this? Can you help me with this?
Yes, I've put a couple of kids through college, and this is what I've done for my living for a long time. So I can say, yes, you can.
Well, I'm confused.
And
I'm confused, sir.
yes,
Anne was telling me this is a relatively new company and you've put some kids through college. I'm trying to make a connection there. Like,
well, I
Navan
used to
really-
think, yeah,
Yeah.
I used to think that the industry was some one company or some one group of people. And what I've begun to learn is there are a lot of us out here who think like this. And we think it's kind of cool that you can have a great idea that is so important that it requires people like you and me to tell the story about it for it to move forward. And the structure is that there is a big computer in Nashville, Tennessee that's keeping track of who told who, and it leads to orders and members. And a bit of that flows back upstream to all of us that told the story. And that's the design of the plan and how it works. I'm inspired to tell you a little bit about why I prefer doing this over maybe some other kind of work. When I was a young boy, I used to be fascinated with racing pigeons and migrating waterfowl. And when I went to the University of Nebraska, I thought maybe I could make a living at something that had to do with birds. And I got involved in poultry. And by the time I was raising all the chickens and turkeys for the experiments there, I realized that one of the things we were developing was a deal where a hen would lay an egg every day. And it would come rolling out, go down a conveyor and wind up, in the food chain. And I began to see myself as that hen. And I wanted to do something more with my life than to lay an egg every day. I didn't want to be turned into a piece of a machinery. I wanted to still be an organism. I wanted my thoughts to still matter and not just to have my neighbors be the cage in front and to the left and right, but to be able to have fascinating friends that were different in a good way around the world. And by those measures, which are things that make me feel more alive, this is an incredible way of working.
So you're sorry that I'm such a nuts and bolts or dollars and cents person, but you're telling me that you make enough money to have the freedom to do what you want to do, to live life the way you want to live it.
That would be the case. I have a little thing about fishing. If you want to go fishing, you could go get a job, work your butt off for years, buy a boat and go fishing. Or this is kind of the way we do it, actually. You could just get a pole and go fishing.
Okay.
And in a way, this is kind of the way this works. You may join yourself today, and others would be likely to want to do the same thing for the same reasons that you did. You might be different than me. You might not see yourself as a hen in a cage. But if you look back at your life, maybe I should ask you a little bit. In your life, your working life to this point, what is it about this that seems interesting to you?
All right. Well, this is a real question. After working for 45 years and saving and investing and having the nest egg, etc., I found the classic retirement experience to be boring. So as I've been looking at this, I started thinking there's a kind of a possibility or a hope of having abundance, extra. I'm not a greedy person, but I'm not afraid to admit that I don't mind gain. I don't like loss. So the basic question to Anne was, tell me how to gain with this, not lose, because I've heard about too many people who lose in networking. I don't want to lose. But I get the point there, Chip. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And everybody listening, this is always my favorite part. I have to work that hard to get every little piece of information about Dr. Mahoney out of him, about the things that are really of interest and value to him. And so that was my nugget for today, that he wanted to be able to build a nest egg without being bored to death. Boy, if that isn't a description of me and maybe you too, right?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with things that are alive. That's where the racing pigeons and the migratory waterfowl came from.
Yeah.
But I'm also fascinated with what makes them more alive. I'm fascinated with what they think about and why. And certainly, all of us get to be more interesting than we would be if we didn't know this.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be fun and fascinating in conversation. You want to be valuable to the people that bring a problem to you, not just be empathetic and say, boy, I sure commiserate with you. And that's all you can do. Instead, when you join something like Navan, you can say, okay, let's put our heads together and see if we can outsmart it. I know people that have been through something like this and gotten out of it. I think, you and I can hatch a plan and get a completely different result than others would get.
We're out of the role play. And so we're back in the main dialogue of our call, just so there's no confusion. And in our conversations, Chip, and I know you'll agree, and Ann will too, when we go deeper in the conversations, we get to the heart of the person, in which they start to talk about what they would do if they had more health, what they would do if they had more energy, what they would do if they had more vitality. And we're connecting them back to their freedom. And when they see that they can get more freedom, more health, more energy,
More money.
more money,
income.
then they're unstoppable. And that's been our experience, is that we have to have the kind of conversation that gets beyond the itch that has to be scratched, the surface problem, but gets to the core, the heart of the person, where they begin to open up about, okay, if I'm going to really tell you the truth, I'd like to change my life for the better. And there has to be a lot of trust for somebody to do that very thing. But I think that that's what happens with this journey, is that we get on a path to changing one another. Some of you on this call, you've expressed gratitude for the roles we've created together, right? We feel like family. We feel deeply connected on the path that we're on. And I think that's because we're participating.
The other thing that I was going to say is that another video that Navan puts out that I think is absolutely brilliant is a very, very short video that actually goes through the marketing plan. So if somebody wants to know more about the marketing and exactly how the marketing plan is done, it's actually a cute
2.5-minute
cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon. And can you tell them where to find that?
It's under resources in your back office. And it's one of the items for your training. There's a whole array of those. And look down, and it's the business cartoon.
The business plan.
The business plan.
And it's, if you haven't seen it, it's really extremely fast and very accurate, but it's a cartoon, so it's fun to watch. And it just goes boop, 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 and it just gives you the entire marketing plan right there in a nutshell. So if somebody wants to go deeper into exactly how they want to make the money, not just can you make the money, exactly how you can make the money, and you maybe have trouble explaining that marketing plan. Like when I first looked at the marketing plan, I thought it was pretty confusing, but I knew exactly what I had needed to do first to get income, and that marketing plan shows you that. So I would recommend that you look at that marketing plan that is in Navan.
I want to make sure we land on a
Resources.
comfortable ending too. So another comfortable point, and you'll know when you're there because you'll feel comfortable, is when you can tell your prospect how they can obtain their products for free, essentially. How in a couple of days' time, they can earn back the product. And when you can confidently show them how to do that, tell them how to do that, that's like 4th of July. It's like igniting a fuse, because I've seen people get really excited about that concept. Maybe we could do that next week. Maybe we could talk about that as a theme for next week.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, if I could task you with this, do whatever to get comfortable with that topic of showing somebody how they can earn money, real money, showing them the compensation plan, showing them the play, showing them the duplication of income with the cab bonuses and the double cab bonuses and all that's involved in that. And if you have trouble with that, then we could easily do a 3-way coaching on that, a 3-way Zoom, or we could do a real 3-way call for live. Like I could easily now, and back to that role play, I could say, well, Ann, that was philosophically great. Now, you know, I'm a numbers person. I would like you to show me on paper, dollars and cents. Like if I invest $999, I want to know how quickly I can earn that back. And to be confident or frank with you, I'd like to learn about the incomes of some of the other people. Like maybe you can connect me to people who will tell me their incomes. Right? Would you say that out loud? I mean,
Oh, yes, I could definitely do that. Yes. And then I would show him that little cartoon marketing plan. And then I also would get him on the phone call with people that I know. I would call Dave Johnson, I would call Chip, and I would call Neil. And I
yeah.
would say, or even Kyle. And I know that they would say, yeah, I'll tell you what I'm making. And I think that that would make a huge difference for someone who wants to know that they can make money doing this.
When we went to
Income.
the last small event, we're coming up on a big event with Navan, but we went to the small event. One of the things we did was take pictures of people. And now we have those pictures available so that when we're prospecting or talking to somebody, I can show them a picture of Kyle. I can show them the level that he's at Double Diamond. I can show people photographs of different people. It makes it real. And I can say people at that level are earning this kind of income. And then advance that with a question of, how does that sound? Or would you like to earn something like that? Do you have any questions about that? And so I'm urging that we get comfortable with these very important questions, because for the business builder that you'll be meeting this week, they're going to want to know that. Some of the people that you will encounter will want to know that. And now, instead of shying away from them, we know that we've got answers for them. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Speaking of the big event,
Big
I think we
event.
should talk about the big event. If you have not signed up to go to this big event, I urge you, if you want to really know the people that are in this business with you and people who can help you do this business and the confidence that you will have, go to a big event. Go to the one that's in Nashville on June 18th and 19th. And I promise you, you will come home and say, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can do this after meeting the people that you will be meeting at that event, and the core behind what Navan, the company, is all about. When I heard Trey talk at that event, I was very, very inspired. I came home and I went, oh my gosh, I have to change some things in my life. And
He's a leader we could follow.
yeah, he really is. And a leader that you can trust, leader that you can follow, and a leader that you can trust. So if there's any way that you can get yourself to Nashville on the 18th and 19th, I urge you to be there. Be there. Chip will be there. Dave and I will be there. I know Patty and Alex will be there. Barb will be there. Yvette will be there. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So before we close, any last questions? And I rely on you for your feedback to guide us towards a topic for a future call, like next week's call could be built on your need, your idea, whatever that would be. Donnie? Yeah, okay. Chip?
I have a thought if you'd like to use it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. One of the things that I think is really important and makes you real in your conversations going ahead is to trust your thoughts as you're on a call like this or whatever resource you're using. If something comes into your mind, write that down. Take notes on your own thoughts because that is going to sound real coming out of you.
Yeah. That's how inspiration works. Inspired
Yeah,
ideas,
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just going to give you a couple of quick examples. You can imagine how many times I've been fortunate enough to hear Rick speak, but during the 6-minute video that Dr. Mahoney and Ann played for us a little bit ago, I took notes on my thoughts during that video. And one of them was, okay, 1990s, Rick begins to think that working on zeolite is worthwhile. He knows that it's a detoxing thing. It'll pick up poison out of the environment, but that couldn't have been enough to make him go after it like he did.
Mhm.
What else was he seeing? And so I just kind of probed the memory banks for a moment. And the two things I wrote down were, remember, before his product came along, it couldn't get out of the gut and circulate systemically in the body fluids. So what he had seen would have been like tests in petri dishes. And one of the things that was observed back then was that pretty much no pathogen or errant cell could survive in a petri dish that had zeolite in it that was dirty.
Mm.
Yeah.
That would make you curious, right? I mean, that would elevate the reason for going to work and putting the effort in to make the product that he did.
Excuse me.
The other thing that he probably ran into was, okay, when you swallow it, we know it's already poison, it's full of stuff, it's trapped in your gut, it is helpful there, but it's limited because it can't get out and circulate. And I'm sure he probably came across research done in Croatia, some of which would have been dogs that had cells that had gone bad. And the effect of zeolite in those dogs was dramatic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But remember, Rick's product didn't exist yet. How'd they get it circulating systemically in those dogs?
Mm.
You probably remember the old IV chelation, with EDTA. Stick a needle in their arm and run it straight in, already dirty.
Mm.
That then triggered the next thought. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but you're going to hear it again now, and maybe it'll really stick this time. When we harvest the zeolite from a mine, it's dirty already. Rick cleans it, you swallow it, it leaves your gut and circulates systemically in your body fluids, and then it becomes dirty again. Well, that phase where it's dirty again is extremely important because it is that part, the part that's already picked up the poisons, that becomes a depth charge. And you have a problem like my wife had, or like my dear buddy Dave Johnson had, and you're counting on something to be toxic to those cells and not healthy cells. That's what the dirty again form of this product is. Dirty, cleaned, swallowed, circulates systemically, dirty again. Now it becomes an agent against change, an agent against cells that change in a bad way. Those kind of things are of great value. And those are just, and that kind of stuff, as you're listening today, as you go forward, when thoughts come in your mind, whatever they are, capture them and use them. So those are some thoughts, inspiration.
Well, thank you, Chip. Thank you for being our
Thank you,
guest
Chip.
tonight.
Yeah.
And thank all of you for being on this call. We have a wonderful evening and a great week ahead of you. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Night.
Thank you, everybody.
Night.
Thanks.